Good morning and welcome back to BPS channel. And just like we were doing in the last session, this time also we are continuing with a new episode on the newspaper analysis. And this week we are going to cover from 31st March from 30th March to 5th April. Okay, so in this week we are going to bring you the current topics that is very necessary for your preparation for both APSC mains and also for UPSC as well. And then why this particular news item is in news, and also there are certain details that I think you should know, and also there are certain related questions. So the related questions, I have not given the answer to these questions because I have specifically introduced these questions in connection with the news. So what you can do is you can later see the entire video, you can take down the notes on the questions, and then you can answer yourself. Okay, so this is merely a kind of practice to just get it inside your head that this is the particular news which is related to it. Okay, so without wasting time, let's move on to our today week. And before that, let me tell you that we do this on an every week basis. Okay, so you can join us every Sunday at 7 a.m. because I think on Sunday what we do is we wake up very late, and just because it is a Sunday, and everybody of us needs a certain bit of rest. But what I would suggest you is, when you wake up from your bed, you just scroll down the videos and you just take a look, because in the early morning whatever you see, it just gets inside your head, just because your head is quite fresh, your mind is fresh, and everything is fresh. Okay, so here we have news from 30th March to 5th April, as I was saying. And if you have any other queries, if you have any other questions, or if you want us to continue with certain other aspects of the exams also, please let us know. Now on 30th March, I have written here is that there is no important point which could be traced. So from an exam perspective, I could not find any important news. And because I don't want everybody of you to get overwhelmed by a lot of information. Okay, so what everybody of us do is that we keep on scrolling through everyday's news, and whatever the slightest of the news item we get, we write it down. But the problem is, when you open up your notebook, when you try to revise it, most of it gets it outside your head, it gets out of your head. Why? Because our mind is not very much accustomed to having so much load of information. So that is why I have only given the informations which are extremely necessary from exam point of view. And from then also, I would also suggest you to open your notebooks and tally with every kind of news item that I'm giving it here for you. Okay, so what you can do is you can tally everything that what you have written from the week's uh, newspaper, and you can see what are the news items which are being presented here. Okay, so that way it would be a very good revision for you. So the first news what I have is the politics and the government sector. We have Chief Electoral Officer of Assam. Now why this is a news? Because initiatives by the Chief Electoral Officer of Assam to ensure 100% voter turnout in Lok Sabha elections, including signing memorandum with State Livelihood Mission. So since we have our elections are quite near, and what problems we are facing problems with the voter turnout. Okay, a lot of people, they don't actually exercise their right to vote, but I think it is the fundamental right which is given to you by the Constitution of India. So everybody of us should at least turn to vote. Even if you don't party for any political party, you can just go and give the vote in the nota section as well. So in a bid to create mass awareness and to ensure 100% voter turnout in the forthcoming Lok Sabha elections, the Chief Electoral Officer Anurag Goel has signed two memorandum of understanding with Assam State Urban Livelihood Mission and the Assam State Rural Livelihood Mission. So as you can see, I have already marked these important points, and then we have volunteers and their name are Sarothi Baido. So what they will do is they will go door to door and they will collect the relevant information, and also they will provide what are the necessary things that it is important for you to understand from an election perspective. So these are people who are associated with the SHG, which is self-help group. So this is how the government and the Election Commission of India India is trying to spread awareness door to door about the election process and the importance of voting. Now we have the second news in the government, which is election mascot. Now why this is in news? Because launch of an election mascot named Tepankai in the Dhemaji district of Assam. So the mascot is named as a Tepankai. Now what is a mascot? You see, a mascot is certain kind of a often it can be a human, it can be an animal or an object which is used to represent a group with a common public identity. So let's say, for example, in Assam we have a different everybody of us might have different language, everybody of us might have different religion or culture to practice, but what we have is that there are certain commonality between us. Let's say the Bihu dance, maybe, okay, everybody of us gets associated with that dance. So what we can do is we can use this as a mascot to create that common sense of public identity. So this is what is the term used for mascot. And for a very simple understanding, you see, whenever you go and see some rugby game or see some football game, or you can see some any other certain kind of games, there you will see there's always a mascot which runs. He wears a big dresses, and then he roams the playground or the stadium. Why? Because he is there to get the association of the common public identity. So that is the meaning of the mascot. Now in the Dhemaji district, it is the Tepankai. And what is Tepankai? It is actually a maize or a corn, okay, because the maize and a corn, it is actually a particular identity which is associated with every people in the Dhemaji district. So this is the corn. Maize or corn, which is known as tepang in the missing language, is a cereal crop produced on a large scale at the Kemi or Ramghat area in the easternmost part of Dhemaji district bordering Siang Valley of Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, so this corn, it is actually grown in that specific area, and everybody in the Dhemaji district is kind of related to this corn or to this agriculture. So that is why, for purpose of common identity, this mascot is been created. Next we come to one related question which I have introduced here, is that by which Amendment Act the voting age of Indian voters was reduced from 21 to 18 years. This is a very, very common question, and in many of the exams we see this question. So it is very easy for you to answer this, but you can still write it down in the comment section what is the answer. Next we have the award and honor section. So L.K. Advani, P.V. Narasimha Rao, Chaudhary Charan Singh, M. Swaminathan and Karpuri Thakur. So there are 5 persons who have actually got Bharat Ratna this year. So why in news? Bharat Ratna award is conferred posthumously on prominent figures including former Prime Minister and a former Deputy Prime Minister. Now we have details about each of these particular personalities. Now the country's highest civilian honor, Bharat Ratna, was presented posthumously to P.V. Narasimha Rao. Now what is this word posthumous? It is an award which is given to a person after his death. So he is not a living person anymore, but in his honor, in his name, we present the Bharat Ratna. So he was the 9th Prime Minister of India during 91 to 96, and I think everybody of you know the importance of his prime ministership, how he transformed the entire India from a very grave economic crisis, and then we have come out of that very bad situation. So that is why he is also called as Chanakya of Indian politics. Okay, so majority of you will know who P.V. Narasimha Rao is, but in relation to the mains exam, if we give you a certain kind of question has been asked, let's say you are given to compare the government policies, okay, the government policies from the 1991 to the year 2023. So what are the certain specific points that you are going to address? So this is a simple question which I have asked in context of the political scenario. So you can take this question and you can practice it in your house, because this is going to give you an idea of the entire political situation that was present from the 90s to the year 2023, how India has transformed itself. Okay. Next we give is Chaudhary Charan Singh. Now who was Chaudhary Charan Singh, he was an ardent patriot and poisoned many times during the freedom struggle, and his contribution to zamindari abolition and land reforms. So at that point of time, because our India was in a grave situation of a problem called as the zamindari system, which was actually introduced by the Britishers at that point of time because they wanted to collect land revenue from people, and that is why they introduced certain people known as zamindars, who will act as an intermediary between the farmers and the British people. So these zamindars, what they did is they later used, they consolidated their power and they became very powerful, and then they started exploiting the farmers to a great extent. Okay, so they are also somewhere responsible for the famines which were caused in Bengal and also in the rest of India. Now, what Chaudhary Charan Singh had did, he took a very bold step and he started writing against the zamindari abolition and the land reforms, because if India had to progress from a mere agricultural country to a developed country where the main item of production has to be the service sector or the manufacturing sector, then what we need to do is we need to make certain grassroots changes, because our agriculture sector at that point of time was the backbone of our economy. Okay, and that is why he is one of the legendary prime minister who acted between 1979 and 1980. Okay, next we come is MS Swaminathan. Well, he is a very, very famous personality who is well known in India because he is the father of Green Revolution. At that time when India was totally dependent on food imports from USA, okay, and then our country was facing a grave agricultural crisis, then this person, he came out and he introduced certain mechanizations and certain technologies in the farming sector. So that is why he is called as the father of Green Revolution. So green is something which is associated with the agriculture sector. So here I have already mentioned these points, so you can later go and check them out also. Next we have two-time Bihar Chief Minister Sir Karpuri Thakur. So in Bihar currently we have a very grave situation, because you see, Bihar is not a very stable in terms of the political power. Every time the political power changes there because of a lot of other reasons which are something else to be discussed. Okay, but he was also a freedom fighter and he was very known for his very simple living. You can see in this picture itself how he is simply sitting and he's simply looking at the documents of the state. Okay, he was a very simple man, but he had a very high living standard, and he was a very key figure in the struggle against social discrimination, because in Bihar we know in the regions like Bihar and UP there is a huge scale of untouchability which is practiced, and even the Jat system and even the caste system. So all these kind of systems was you can say a demark in the entire social structure of Bihar and UP. So he came out and he was the forerunner to fight against all these inequalities. Next we have his former deputy prime minister, who is LK Advani, and he has also served as a president of the BJP party for the longest period since 1980. Okay, and he was the first home minister and later the deputy prime minister in the cabinet of Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So he has acted as the deputy prime minister also, he has acted as the home minister also in the government of Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And I think everybody of us know who Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee was. He was one of the greatest prime minister who revolutionized the system of education in India. Okay, he was the first to initiate the reforms in the school sector. Okay. Next we come to a related question, very, very easy question. The major economic policy is introduced by former PM PV Narasimha Rao, where economic liberalization, introducing Securities and Exchange Board of India Act, which gave SEBI authority to regulate all security market in India, starting of National Stock Exchange, or all of the above. So which of the following was actually introduced by PV Narasimha Rao? Well, we all know that he started the economic liberalization, but whether he started SEBI or whether he gave SEBI the right to regulate all market related or security related activities in India, so that you have to find it out. Okay, next we come to the education. Now, Assam's indigenous language, this is a very prominent news which has been circulating all the period of time. Now, introduction of indigenous language of Assam as a medium of instruction in the foundational stage of education in alignment with the national education policy. So, national education policy, everybody of you must have known that this is a policy to make changes in the entire educational system of India, because what we have been following right now or till now is actually a system which was already introduced by the British. So right now, taking the current demands, the current problems in the Indian education system, the national education policy had strictly given out the phrase that we need to stress on the regional languages as a medium of instruction, because if we are not focusing on the regional language, then these languages might at some point of time, they might not remain a very prominent part of our culture, and we must protect it at all cost. Now, the state government has introduced 6 indigenous languages which are missing: Rabha, Karvi, Tiwa and Deuri languages, which have been declared as a medium of instruction in conformity with national education policy. So anybody of you, if you belong to one of these 5 tribal communities, please do comment down below that you belong to which of the following, and these languages as introduced as medium shall be shifted to regional language as a medium of instruction. So these are currently used as a foundational languages itself, but later they will be introduced as a medium of instruction as well. Okay, right now they only need to learn this, but later they will be shifted as the medium of instructions. Now, there is also a possible question here, like how do you see the concept of language or the concept of culture, in the modern developmental politics of Assam, or you can say the modern developmental politics of India? How far do you think the language is going to play a real revolutionary moment? Do you really think that India should focus on the concept of language or on the concept of technology? So these are the related questions which always come in mind, and these are very philosophical, but also at the same time they are very fundamental questions which you need to discuss it out with your friends or with your teachers, with whomever you are being associated with. Okay, because language, we understand some way it needs to be protected because it forms part of our identity, as part of our regional identity. So how far this regional identity, the concept of regionalism is now being scattered? So do you actually feel that a power in the center is now been questioned because of the regionalism that is been there right now? Because everything you see is been focused on the regional sector right now. Okay, so regional political parties have also started playing a major role in the national politics. So these are the certain kind of things that you need to answer yourself, and also you need to discuss this with your friends. Now, Rongkher is a cultural festival which is associated with which community? It is Rabha, Tiwa, Missing or Karbi. Very easy question, and the answer is also very easy. Next we come to culture and arts. Now there is one particular person that you need to know, is she is Shivangi Ratna. Now who is she? She is recognized for her Kshatriya dance. Now, beyond the Kshatriya dance, she is also a very famous psychologist. Okay, she has received the Young Talented Artist Award, and she is also a psychologist, and she uses dance to improve the learning process of specially abled children. Now you see, now this is a very new thing for us to learn, because we have always understood that the specially abled children, we cannot teach them the way that we have learned in our life. We cannot ask them to learn ABCD. We cannot ask them to by heart the maths table and everything, because they are specially able children. Okay, so they need to be taught very specially or in a very different manner. Now what this person is doing, she is also a Kshatriya dance, and she is using her degree in a psychology to associate the dance with the learning process of the specially able children. How can they incorporate the elements of learning through dance? Just because arts, it gives you a lot of inspiration, plus it also gives you a learning moment. Now there is a simple example you'll find, like if you see painters, the way they paint. If I give you the example of Leonardo da Vinci, if you see his paintings, if you see his art, so beyond paintings there are also specks of learning, there are specks of information, and there are also certain metaphysical questions which was being placed in those paintings. Why? Because these are the certain kind of art which expresses a knowledge of a particular person. Any person cannot go and draw anything that he likes. Even in abstract art also there is a lot of information which is there, and anybody who is associated with all those kind of art and everything, they will understand the meaning behind it. So that is why specially able children, they are very able in a very different manner. So that is why she is trying to understand the relationship between psychology, between learning, and between dance. Okay, now this is a very, I think it is a very pedagogical question, but I think you should know and you should learn also about this. Next we come to a related question. Kshatriya dance has attained the status of classical dance in which year? It's very simple question, very easy question. You can, now next we come to my favorite section, which is idli. Now I really like idli because it is very fulfilling, plus it is rich in calorie also, and plus it gives you a very fulfilling breakfast in the morning. It just lightens your mood. So someday if you really feel bad, like okay, studying and studying, nothing is happening in my life, I'm so bored of my life, I'm so depressed. So if you feel depressed, just go and just make idli and sambar and eat, and then watch a simple Netflix movie and sleep the whole day. No need to study, because if you're feeling depressed, then someday what happens, you're just dragging your mind, you're pushing your mind, and your mind is not ready to do it. So at that point of time, idli really helps, and it has helped me a lot, because when we are very sad, we just like to eat and sleep, right? And that is what we need to do. So see, the entire world is also recognizing the importance of this very, very flavorful breakfast, and that is why people are celebrating World Idli Day. Now what are the details here? It was celebrated on 30th March, but idli ranks as the second most ordered breakfast item on Swiggy after masala dosa. So people like to eat masala dosa, but I think masala dosa gives you a lot of potatoes and everything, so it just fills your stomach, but you somewhere feel very heavy. But idli does not make you feel heavy, it makes you feel light, and it also lightens your mood. And since the color of the idli is very white also, so it gives you a sense of peace and contentment while you are eating it. So those girls and those boys who are very fat, they just want to lose their weight, so you don't need to feel guilty after eating this. You can simply eat and sleep. Okay, very nice. Next we come to birds. Now this specially bird I'm giving here because she's a hummingbird. So wherever she'll go, she just hum like this and go, right? And she hums because she flaps her wings so fast, and the wings, when they come in connection with the wind, they produce a certain kind of sound which we hear as hum, like. Okay, now wonder of birds. What is this wonder of birds? Launch of the Wonder of Birds course by Early Bird, focusing on fostering a connection between children and nature. Now this is a very important point. Why? Because if you remember your childhood, we always liked to watch birds. We were very fascinated by it. Whenever we used to see birds, we used to count them. Okay, I saw this bird too, that means I'll have a good luck today. No, I saw this bird one, I'll have a bad luck today. So somewhere we had a superstitious angle also. But let's say if you remember any specific moment from your childhood where you saw a very wonderful bird, very rare bird, you look at her and you try to notice her, how her color is, how different she is. You want to catch her, you want to kiss her, you want to do a lot of things with that bird, because birds, they give you a sense of contentment. They're very beautiful, they're very cute. Okay, they have everything. Now this particular wonder, what is it doing? It is trying to build the connection between nature and children. Now, Early Bird is a non-for-profit initiative which is dedicated to fostering connection between children and the nature. So their motto is connecting children to birds. So all you have to do is you have to bird watch, you have to see the behavior of the birds, you have to relate your life with. And if anybody of you have been very, very lucky, you would have seen how birds build their nest. So every bird has a different way of building their nest, except the cuckoo bird. But the rest of the bird, they have a they are very engineered creatures. They know how to engineer their houses, they know how to build their houses. So it's a very wonderful thing to see when you see them building houses. Now, this is a very common question which I'm asking. It's a very sense question. Now, which of the following statement best describes the relationship between children and birds? Now, this is a question which I want everybody of you to answer. Now, it helps children to be observant and aware of the environment. It helps children develop interest in biology. It helps children to mimic bird sounds, or all of the above. So, for me, the correct answer is definitely number 1, because it helps the children to be observant and aware of the environment. Because if we don't watch birds, we will not be able to relate to how beautiful the nature is. Okay. And birds are something which are very cute objects. They are very cute things, and children always like to be associated with cute things. You cannot get a tiger and place it in front of a kid. The kid will just he'll just smack it off, just because the tiger will scare him. The body of the tiger, then everything will scare him off. But birds are cute things, so it is a very easy way to relate children with nature. Next is robot aurora. Now, aurora itself is a very beautiful word. Even we see it in certainly in certain specific regions of the earth, especially in the North Pole, we see this specific aurora, but it is not talking about that. It is talking about a robot. Now, I did not get the exact image of the robot aurora, so I have placed a little cute robot here. And if you have watched the movie Wall-E, and there you will get a robot like this who keeps on cleaning and mopping the entire spaceship the entire day. His job is to mop the spaceship, and all he does is mop. Okay. Now, introduction of a headless robot named Aurora at an airport in Alaska to keep birds and wildlife away from plane infield. So what happens is, when the plane is flying, or when the plane is landing, or when the plane is taking off, what happens? The plane has to follow a certain direction. It depends on certain signals. Okay, it follows a certain specific direction. It follows certain specific signals through which it can navigate it. Now, a lot of migratory birds, what happen? They also migrate in that direction, and they also use specific signals so that they can come and migrate exactly to that location. So what happens? We have seen a lot of incidents that have had accident between a flight and a bird. Now, the flight is not going to fall down because of the accident, but many of the birds have been killed or have been deeply injured by this accident. So that is why, in order to prevent, what is then, there is a aurora. What it is doing, it is going to take the shape of a coyote or a fox, and what it will do, it will scare the birds of their direction, and then they will take a different direction, and then they will go easily without being hurt from the planes. Okay, so it is going to take that. So this is a simple news, but I still thought to include this. Now, next we have in history is the Dalai Lama. Now, why he is in news? Now, recollection of the escape of the 14th Dalai Lama from Tibet to India in association with the Assam Rifles. So I must tell you that we also made a video on Dalai Lama. So if you have not watched it, go to our playlist Discover Assam series, and you'll find at the end of the video you'll find this specific story on Tibet and Dalai Lama. Okay. Now, what is this association with Assam Rifles? So the 5th Battalion of the Assam Rifles, it was entrusted to safely evacuate Dalai Lama, to safely guard him through his escape route from Tibet to Assam. So when he reached Tawang, and then he had to come to Tejpur, and then from Tejpur he rested in Tejpur, and then he went back to Himachal Pradesh. So this 5th Battalion of Assam Rifles was actually entrusted with this specific duty to protect and to evacuate him. So this, in honor of this, so Dalai Lama, what he had done, he had presented his personal weapons to the 5th Assam Rifles, and this personal weapon is still there to be displayed at the Assam Rifle Museum in Shillong. Okay, if you go to the Museum of Assam Rifle in Shillong, you will specifically see this particular weapon, which was been donated by the great Dalai Lama to the Assam Rifles 5th Battalion. And if you want to search more stories on Assam Rifles and this visit, you can simply go out and you can Google it out, that Assam Rifles association with the Dalai Lama. You'll get a lot of articles to read on. Next, we come to a specific question, which is in which year China invaded Tibet. Now, the answer will be 50, 51, 52 or 49. Very easy. Very, very easy. Next, we come to fish. Now, this is a Nemo fish. Okay, this is Nemo. If we all have watched the film, Finding Nemo, there's a very, very, good memory that comes back to mind, because that film was very nice, very soft, very funny, but at the same time, it was very tragic as well. And she used to forget everything. She didn't have any memory. There used to be a big octopus, if you just remember that movie. Now, in regard to fish consumption, now we don't eat this fish. Right, don't eat this fish, but I'm just giving this just to remember about something, about a good memory, on a movie on the fish. Now, study on fish consumption patterns in India, highlighting northeastern states and Kerala as significant consumers. Now, what we have is, who are the people who consume most fish? Now, you see the in terms of northeast state, now Tripura being the undisputed champion of fish consumption with 99.335%. Now, majority of the Tripuri, what they do, they eat fish. Their basic diet is fish. Then we come to, now this study is being titled as Fish Consumption in India, Patterns and Trends. So, I have marked this also, so you can write it down in your notebook as well. Next, we come to Manipur and Assam. Now Manipur is second and Assam is third. Now, everybody of us like fish, so please comment it down if you really like fish, and if you don't like fish, then also you comment it down. And fish are very, very rich source of protein. Okay, so you can have them for good amount of protein in your body. Now, West Bengal is at 6th position. So I find it very difficult to believe, because a lot of Bengali people, I think it is very stereotypical, but I think they really like fish and they really know how to cook fish. I was once, invited to a Bengali family to have a lunch, and they cooked a simple, recipe on fish, and it was so tasty. I still remember the taste of that fish. And then I asked the lady also, how did you cook it? Please teach me. She taught me the ingredients, she taught me everything, but when I tried and I tried to make that fish, it wasn't the same taste as the lady, she made it. And then I kind of understood that it is something, it does not come just because you know the ingredient, just because you know how to cook it. It just comes with practice, it comes with love, it comes with everything. So they really know how to make fish curry. Also, they know how to make very, very good, chicken curry. So I really like, if anybody of you are Bengali here, please do invite me for lunch or dinner. I'll be very happy to go and eat lunch and dinner at your house, because I'm very fond of Bengali food. Okay, next we have is Haryana, and then we have Kerala, which leads in the daily consumption of fish. So, a lot of people, they eat fish in Kerala, and it is quite obvious because they live in the coastal area. Now, there is an important article which I want everybody of you to read. Now, this is related to Borofa. Now, who is Borofa? Borofa was a title which was conferred upon him, and Borofa means the father of the Boros. This is an important article which you need to find it out, because it is even there in Assam Tribune on the 31st of March. You can go and check it out. So he was a Bodoland Boro leader, and the title was posthumously conferred upon him. Now, what he did for the Boro people, you all can read that article and find out great details. And regarding Borofa, we had also done a class in the last section, in the last week of the Assam Tribune analysis, and there also I had given this particular news. So if you want the related information, you can go and check out that class as well. Now we have come to the 1st April. Now 1st April, as we all know, is a April Fool's Day. So I'm not here to make you fool by giving you false information. I'm here to give you some serious information. But I think in the 1st of April, We do celebrate this April Fool because it is sometimes very fun, to make fool of somebody. But yes, you just need to make fool. You don't need to, pull pranks on somebody, because I have seen people go to extend to, pull pranks. And sometimes what happens, there are a lot of people who die. They have a very traumatic experience after those pranks. So don't do this. Don't do stupid pranks on people, but you can simply go and fool them, because it's fun sometimes to play with people's mind. Okay, it's a very light joke. It's a very light environment. Now, government and appointments, we have the Chief Secretary of Assam. Now, his name is Ravi Kota. He's been newly appointed, and he is from Andhra Pradesh. So his former was Pavan Kumar Bhattakur. Okay, this is a very simple news. Next we have is NIA, National Investigation Agency. Now Sadanand Vasande takes charge as the chief of the National Investigation Agency. So we have the new chief of the National Investigation Agency, and I think everybody of you know what National Investigation Agency does. What does it do? The primary mandate of the National Investigation Agency is to investigate and prosecute offences that have national and cross-border implication, specifically focusing on terrorism, insurgency, and other related matters. So if anybody is certainly related to offences that have national and cross-border implications, so NI is going to take charge. Now you see, there is a news that Indian Institute of Technology Guwahati, there was a guy who was being accused of having he was being accused that he wanted to join the militant organization called ISIS. So he wanted to join. He had a deep sense that he wants to join that. So these particular are the kind of incidents that NIA look into. And after the parliamentary attacks on 26/11 and everything, then we have on the year 2008, then we have seen that NIA had come into place. Okay, so before that we didn't have much of this kind of organization, but now this particularly looks into there. And also there is a related question here, I think that you can find it out. This is a prosecute. I want everybody of you to focus on this word. Okay, this word is called prosecute. Now what do you mean by prosecute? It is a quasi-judicial activity. Quasi-judicial means who can prosecute you. It is the judge, it is the judiciary that can prosecute you if you have committed certain kind of crime. Now NIA is a quasi-judicial body. It can prosecute you if you have taken any kind of offensive step towards the national and the cross-border implication. Okay, so this certain specific words are very, very important for us to know, and its headquarters is located in the New Delhi. Very easy. And this is a very easy question. NIA first came into existence in which year? 5, 6, 7 or 8. Very easy. All of you can answer this. Next we come to culture and geographical indication. Now we have the Boro community. Now why in news? Because traditional items from Assam and Boro have received GI tags, which is geographical indication tags. Now you see, I have given here a picture of the Boro girls. Okay, they are wearing their traditional dress and they are really, really beautiful, right? It's good to see beautiful girls, right? Okay, 13 Boro traditional items like Boro Dokhona, then Boro Eri silk, then Boro Wamgru, if I am not pronouncing it wrong, then Gamusa, then Keradapini. I think it is called as Keradapini or something like this. If I am not sure if my pronunciation is correct or wrong. So anybody, if you are from the Boro community, please write down in the comment section what are the pronunciations of these particular words. Okay, so my pronunciation won't be correct because I don't know how to speak Boro. So these are the 13 Boro items that you will get in the GI tag. Next is the Japi of Assam. So many items from Assam has also received GI tags, which is Japi and Bihu Dhol to the Sartebari metal craft, and 19 traditional items of the state has also got the prestigious GI tag, which is Ashari Kandi terracotta craft, Assam Pani Pani Metaka craft, and Assam missing handloom. Now Pani Metaka, I think everybody of you know what Metaka is, and also you have seen the Assam missing handloom. What we used to do is we have to get the missing kapur. All we used to do now, whenever we used to go and buy mekla chadar, everybody of us like the missing kapur, because the way we like it is been woven, and we like the designs and the particular craft which is been done there. So it's a very, very unique way of styling yourself, but it also represents a blend of culture and also a blend of modernity. So I think this is a very, very potential question for you to answer, like what do you think is the blend between culture and the blend between the modern traditions, okay, the modernity and the culture. So how do you represent, how do you think both of these represent in our life? So these are very philosophical but very fundamental question also that you need to ask yourself. And next we come to the pottery and the terracotta section. Now this is a very old pottery. This is, I think, from a very, very ancient period. Now significance of Asharikandi village, which is located in the district of Dhuburi, which is famous for pottery and the terracotta. Now Asharikandi in the Dhuburi is the largest cluster village that produces pottery and the terracotta. So it is one of the largest to produce the pottery in the entire country. Next, an object of art made of a composition of clay and sand and baked with earthen color, a brownish red, is called the terracotta. So I have given the particular definition of terracotta here. So even if you don't know, you can find out this definition and you can see what it means. Now terracotta is actually one of the oldest craft that human beings ever introduced on this earth, because at that time humans were trying and experimenting a lot of things. They invented fire, they discovered fire, and then they used to do all these drawings, the cave paintings and everything. So cave paintings at that point of time was basically what they used to see in the environment. So if they see a buffalo, they will draw a buffalo. If they see a cow, they will draw a cow. So basically it used to be about your environment, okay. It used to be more of the environment of the animals that, and what humans used to do, they used to hunt these animals. So all these are cave paintings. But after that, when humans started trying to mend and bend the nature, then they introduced the terracotta art, and then they used to make all those pottery and craft and everything, and that is how the civilization began. Next we see the main raw material for pottery and terracotta craft is hiramati, a special type of soil. Now this is important for you, so I want everybody of you to mark this, because this might come in your UPSC exam also. Okay, this is a very potential question for UPSC, so I think everybody of you should mark this. Now there is one specific lady, late Sarala Baladevi, and she has received a lot of recognition because of her association with the terracotta craft. Okay, so you must remember her name. So her name is late Sarla Baladevi. Now the Asharikandi terracotta art is internationally famous for which object? Now this object is famous because of Sarala Baladevi, and this object is the Hatima doll. So if you have not heard about Hatima doll, please go and check it out. Right, so it is a doll which is made of the terracotta craft, and the doll is very unique in its own way. So once you see the doll, you'll be able to find out the intricate details on the doll. So this doll is very famous for the terracotta, and it is famous because of late Sarla Baladevi. So if you have not heard about her, please go and check it out. Next we go on to education and academia, which is Assam Agriculture University. Now why in news? Because they have celebrated establishment day of Assam Agriculture University. Establishment day. Now Assam Agriculture University was established on April 1st, 1969. So anybody of you who are an ex-student of Assam Agriculture University, please raise your hands and please comment down on the comment section, and please write down your specific experience in the college, what that university has taught you, how your personality was shaped there, and everything you can write it down. Now this university has received the prestigious Sardar Patel Outstanding Institution Award 2014 for its remarkable performance, and it's ranked 19th by the National Institutional Ranking Framework 2023. So it is one of the most prestigious universities in the whole of India. So if you have any dream, or if you have any passion, or if you have a goal of doing further research in the agriculture field, if you want to go your if you want to take up further studies in the agriculture, then you can definitely go and take admission in this college. So because in this university, because it is going to give you a lot of opportunity in the future. A lot of my friends were from this university, and a lot of them had got a very good job also. Okay, so if you're specifically looking for jobs, I think this is one of the best university where you can read and you can study and you can continue your research and do whatever you like, and then you can also take somewhere, you can also get the recognition that you are one of the best in the class, and then you will definitely get a very good job. At least most of my friends had got the job. I won't guarantee that it is for everybody, but I can say what I have experienced in my life. Now Bisweshwar Hazarika, who is he? Now he looks like a very grumpy man, but he's actually not grumpy. He's very talented. He was very talented, and unfortunately we lost him, and he's very busy reading a book. Now since he's busy reading a book, and I think I'm quite sure most of you will know who this person was. Now demise of eminent linguist and scholar Bisweshwar Hazarika. Now what do we know about him? Now the veteran scholar had a number of books to his credit, including Assamese language origin and development, Ohomia Bhakhar Utpotti, Aru Korma Bikak, Chaitanya's impact on the Vaishnavism of Assam, Sar Jyoti Kosh, and Ohomia, Boro, Rabha, Tribashik, Abhidhan, etc. So these are certain books. I might not be pronouncing them correctly, so please excuse my pronunciation. But these are the books that are very important for you to know. Okay, so what you can do is you can write them down in your notebook, and you can keep them for further revision, because these are very very important for you. Even if these kind of books don't come in your exam, but still you need to learn about them, because in the interview section someday someone might ask you about all these kind of things. Okay, and these are the certain scholarly books. Now what the problem I find here is that modern people like us, I won't say modern, but I would say today's generation has lost the capability or the patience to even read a book, because everything has been fed to us. We have been spoon fed everything. Anything you search on the YouTube, everything is made simple, everything is been done. So we somehow have lost a patience to read a book. But sometimes I think beyond your academic books also, you must go and read, because it will develop a sense of patience in you. And patience is one of the particular a particular attribute that you must actually develop in you. Even in the future, if you get the job of ACS, if you become a good ranking officer, you will need excellent patience to deal with the activities of the administration. So I think patience building is one of the most difficult attribute to build in a person, and I think reading books will help you develop that. Next we come to, as an editor, what he used to do, his work include Ohomia Sahityar Buronji. Then we have Ohomia Bhakhar Gothon Aru Bikash, which is a translation of Assamese, its formation and development, penned by Dr. Banikanto Kakoti. So this is a book which was originally written. Okay, so Ohomia Bhakhar Gothon Aru Bikash. You can read the translation also. Next we have the Assam Sahitya Sabha has honored Hazarika with the Sahitya Acharya title in the year 2014. So he has also received the title of Sahitya Acharya. This is also very important for you. Please mark it down. Okay. Next we come to Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship. So let's move out of the job section and let's go on and deal and talk about something which is related to business. Now why I'm telling business, because entrepreneurship is nothing more than business. Okay, it is like you're building your own you are building your own empire, because entrepreneurship will give you a certain opportunity where job is not able to provide it for you. Now celebration of the 30th foundation day of the Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship, Guwahati. What we have is, it was established in the year 1994. Very very simple detail. with the Northeast Council, NEC, and Government of Assam, Arunachal, and Nagaland, and SIDBI as its other stakeholders. So even Nagaland government is associated, Arunachal is associated, and even the SIDBI bank is also associated. Next, we have the institute also has state offices in 7 states, which have Nagaland, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Tripura, and Meghalaya. Okay, so this is a news that you must write it down. Next, we have is a related question. Which of the following is not a function of Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship? Now my question is not a function. Design, training and skill program relevant to entrepreneurship. Do they provide training and skill? Definitely they provide. Next, we have support organization engaged in entrepreneurship. If you have developed or if you have opened an organization for entrepreneurship, if you are building your own entrepreneurship empire, if you are building a startup, will they support you? Definitely they'll support you. Provide consultancy service to prospective and existing entrepreneurship. Will they provide you some certain consultancy services for existing entrepreneurship? Definitely they will provide you. If you need help, okay, how to start a business, what are the problems you might face, okay, and what other possible solutions you might get to those problems, so will they provide you all this? Definitely they will provide you. But what they will not provide you is the market reach, because market reach you only have to do yourself. So they won't provide you the market reach, you have to do it yourself. So this is something which they are not providing. And obviously why will they provide? Because if they will provide you the market reach, then what is the point of doing business after all, right? Because you have to do it your own. It is ultimately your own empire. They are just going to give you the environment where you can build the entrepreneurship. They are not going to make you money out of it. Environmental mascots. Now we had the election mascot, now we have the environment mascot. Now unveiling of mascots for Kamrup district for Lok Sabha election emphasizing environmental significance. Now we have a mascot in the Kamrup district, and this mascot is specifically trying to give us a message that what we need to have a very sustainable outlook towards our environmental problems. Apart from the urban development, we have a huge problem of the environment sustainability. Now Kamrup DC Kirti Jali on Sunday unveiled Luit and Kamrupa. So these are what? These are black soft shell turtle. Now you must remember this, okay? This is very important. I am giving a star mark here. Luit and Kamrupa, both of there are black soft shell turtles which have been selected as the environmental mascot. Now these mascots introduced as part of the systematic voters education and the electoral participation, which is the sweep program. Now this is a important question for your UPSC. Why? Because this UPSC might ask you the full form of this sweep, SVEEP program. What is this? So this is a systematic voters education and electoral participation. Now what our young generations do? Our young generation always need something to be associated with, okay? We need a hero to be associated with our life, okay? That is why we like the superhero in our life, just because we get a lot of inspiration from them. And likewise in our examination also, when we are preparing for certain exams, we will need a hero for us. So that is why what we do, we always look out for those people who have already successfully completed their exams, and we consider them as hero. Then we also need a teacher who will teach us in the particular direction, who will guide them. So that is why we need a hero in the teaching world as well. And if you consider me as a hero, I would say I would better be like to be called as a heroine than a hero, because my gender is female. So but that is a joke. But okay, whatever jokes apart, but everybody of us need a hero or a heroine to be associated with, because it gives us a sense of conformity, it gives us a sense of confidence and everything. It gives us a sense of commitment and everything, right? So this is a mascot which is giving the younger generation a message that what we need to care about a sustainable environment. Now this is the soft turtle that you can see that I have given here, okay? So it is called the soft-shelled turtle which is found in the Haigriva Madhav temple premises in the Hajo, and it is the pride of the Kamrup district, and Luit and Kamrupa, their names are respectively. Now this is designed by the cartoonist Pradeep Nath. Okay, Pradeep Nath. Next we have is Orang National Park and Tiger Reserve. How many of you have visited this national park? You must go and visit this because it's one of the beautiful national park. Okay, very beautiful. You should go and spend time in the wildlife. Okay, someday if you don't like doing job or anything, you got frustrated with everything, then you might feel, okay, let's go and spend some time in the jungle, let's go and spend some time with the animals. At least the animals might not understand you, but they won't bother you with unnecessary everything. Okay, so everybody of us just need to go and spend time in the wild, and I think wilderness is something which every humankind enjoys, but we don't have the courage to go and be a complete wild, but still we like the wilderness, so you can go and visit this. Next, why do we have this in news? Because as part of the sustained endeavor to connect kids to nature conservation efforts, Biodiversity Conservation Organization Aranyak has conducted yet another annual nature camp. So what they are doing, they are giving an annual nature camp which is Aranyak. So if you have your kids, or if you have any kid in your house, your niece or nephew or anybody, so what they do is they provide this annual nature camp which helps students connect with the nature, because they understand what the importance of nature, they understand the problems that our nature is currently facing, and so that when they grow up with the idea that what they need to do, they need to be sympathetic, and they also need to have a solution to the problem of the environmental disaster, which we were not taught at that particular time, because at that particular time we didn't have lessons on the environment or in anything. We had lessons, but we didn't have certain awareness program. All we did in the name of environment is study biology. That's what we had, sadly. I don't know about the rest of you, but at least I had only biology lessons. And that environment class was also hijacked by the maths teacher. I don't know why they always hijack something else. And I am never good in maths, by the way. Orang National Park was recognized as a national park from the status of a sanctuary in which year? So it was a wildlife sanctuary. It was a wildlife sanctuary before, but now it became as a national park. Next, we have the business and industry. How many of you like to have tea? I really like to have tea, and right now when I'm talking about tea, I really want a cup of tea. And this is what is a black tea. Black tea, because it is not anything different, but it is a certain kind of tea which I think every Assamese will relate to, because this is what we like to consume on a daily basis. Okay, launch of Gatunga black tea brand by B&A Limited, commemorating the birth anniversary of Hemendra Prasad Borua. Now, who is Hemendra Prasad Borua? Let's go and see. Now, Gatunga, a black tea brand of the B&A Limited, is a company which is owned by Barua and Associates Group. Now, I am also a Barua, but sadly, I am not a rich person like them. And every Barua that I have met in my life, or every Barua that I have seen in history, is rich. They always have a lot of land and everything. But me, I was born poor. I don't know why. Okay, it's my faith. And I would want every Barua to please comments on please comment down if you're rich or you're born poor. It's a leading black tea producer in India, descendant from Borakhali Tea Company Limited, which was founded in 1915 and grew under the stewardship of late Hemendra Prasad Borua, a doyen of the Assam tea industry. So he was one of the pioneers of this. Okay, and Borakhali Tea Company. If anybody of you are here from this company, from this tea estate, please comment down. The retail brand name after the company's Gatunga Tea Garden, which had been ranked number 1 since 2021 in all India orders in terms of price fetch for teas in the auctions, and was launched by the company in the 18 holes golf resort set up by Borua 12 years ago, okay, to promote tea tourism. So it has been ranked number 1 since 2021. So if you have not tasted the black tea of the Gatunga, the Gatunga black tea, you can go and buy in the market. I think it is quietly available. Okay, Next, we have the Digital India Trust Agency. Now, what we have in the Digital India Trust, the word trust is here. So, in terms of trust, what we are doing here is a Reserve Bank's consideration of establishing Digital India Trust Agency, which is known as Digita. Now, Digita is something which is very important for your mains exam from both UPSC and APSC perspective also, because what we are dealing here, we are dealing with something called as cyber fraud, because most of us know what happened. Since everything is online nowadays, everything is done in the help of internet, so it just takes a little button for someone to come and steal all your digital wealth. If you have stored your money somewhere, your money might get swayed away by someone who's sitting in Russia, who's sitting in Norway, who's sitting in anywhere. Okay, so it's very easy for someone to just do. So what we need to do, firstly, we need to have an awareness regarding how these kind of frauds are being have been done lately. Now, Digita would verify digital lending apps to ensure that they comply with RBI regulations and guidelines. Apps without Digita's verification may be penalized. Now you see what is happening every day in your life. If you're scrolling through YouTube, you will find everybody is promoting a lending app. Okay, somebody is saying, okay, you can loan money from this app, or you can play games through lending money in this app, or you can earn money by playing game in this particular app. So everywhere there is always a new app which launches in terms of the financial assets. But what is happening, many of these apps, what they are doing, they do not even comply with the RBI regulations. Okay, and if that particular company does not apply or does not comply with RBI guidelines and regulations, that means that particular app or that particular company is a fraud company. So what you need to understand is, you need to have a certain kind of market research. And lately I have seen many people have lost their digital wealth because of all these factors. Okay, so that is why RBI has set up this Digita, where you can actually go and complain. Next we have is, Digita would mark apps that lack verification as unauthorized, which can be used by law enforcement agencies to combat financial crimes in the digital domain. This would serve as a crucial checkpoint in preventing financial crimes. Verified apps would receive a Digita approved seal, making them easily identifiable. Just like what we have is ISI mark. If you go and buy any product, what in the market, you'll see whether that particular item has ISI marked or not. If you're buying certain food items, what you have is FSSAI marked. That means it is following the guidelines of this particular of the food regulatory authority. But if you are if somebody is lending you money from a particular app, what you need to do is, you need to see whether it is Digita approved or not, whether it has followed the guidelines of the RBI principles or not. So this will help you to identify what are the fraud companies and what are the genuine or the legitimate companies. Okay, because once your money in the digital world is lost, sometimes by fraud companies, it might become very difficult for you to trace that money and get that money in your name back. Because if these are unregulated or unauthorized companies, many of them might have their base in China as well, or many might have their base in Russia as well, and you don't know, because there are not enough market mechanism to regulate where your money is being spent and how it is being spent and from where this money is being given to you. So that is why we need to be very, very careful. Okay, next we have a related question: in which company RBI collaborated to establish Digita? Is it Microsoft, it is Google, it is Meta, or none? I think you can verify this. Next we have is Autism Day. Next we have is Autism Day, which is World Autism Day, which is on 2nd of April. Now what is autism? Autism is a specific kind of disorder. Okay, it's a specific kind of disorder which refers to various challenges with social skills, repetitive behavior, speech and non-verbal communication. So it becomes very difficult for us to identify the autistic children sometimes, because I have seen many of the people, they are very smart they are very talented, they are very smart, they look very normal, but they might not be normal because they might be autistic. Because if they are having a problem in the communication, sometimes you see in your peer group there may be someone who is not able to communicate his thoughts properly. He does not understand the complexities of human sentiments. He does not understand the difference between bully and sarcasm. Okay, so these are the people who find it very difficult to navigate through day to day life because they do not understand the complexities of human sentiments or the human emotions or the human communication. Just like, for example, if you have seen the famous TV show Big Bang Theory, there is a particular character called Sheldon Cooper. Now Sheldon Cooper is an autistic child because he's very smart, but he's not able to navigate his social skills. So this is called as a autism. So we might sometimes not be able to figure it out who is an autistic child, but sometimes we might be able to figure it out just because their symptoms are very prominent. Okay, now what is the theme here? The theme that I already discussed is the theme color. Next is the vibrant dynamic theme highlights the fact that the world is at a critical moment and it is time to act and discern shared solutions in raising a more sustainable and resilient world for all generations to come. Okay. Next, we have a related question. What are the major challenges faced by an autistic person? Whether he faces problem in socializing, communication with others, repetitive behaviors, or all of the above? The answer will be all of the above. Next we come is the sustainability and waste management. Everybody of us must be aware of this. Now what is waste management? Material recovery facility. Now what is this facility? What material will they recover? Inauguration of a material recovery facility is done in GMC with the help of HDFC Bank and CEE. Okay. Now what is HDFC Bank in partnership with Guwahati Municipal Corporation and Center for Environment and Education CEE has inaugurated the material recovery facility at Adabari. Now one of the main component is the creation of a Swachh Center material recovery facility. Now what is done is, what people do, people throw waste. Now what we do, we have a polythene and we throw the dry waste and the wet waste together, and then we roll the polythene and we throw it out. But if, let's say, if we have a facility which can, take out all the dry ones, it can take out the dry ones, and then what it does, it takes out all the plastic ones, and then it can be used to recycle certain other products. So these are the certain things which has been taught in the matter of the sustainability and the waste management. Okay. Now in the academy and the award section, we have Jyoti Prakash Medhi Award. Now who is this person? He is very smiling. He looks like a very good person, a very sweet person. Institution of the Jyoti Prakash Medhi Award in Mathematical Sciences in memory of the renowned statistics scholar Professor Jyoti Prakash Medhi. Now he was a renowned scholar of the statistics and maths, something which is a nightmare for me. If you give me a maths problem, maybe I might faint and die sometimes because I'm not very good in maths and stats. Okay, you give me any other problem in this world, I'll solve, but maths problem is kind of nightmare for me. And please write it down if it is a nightmare for you also. The award will be given every 3 years, with the first one in 2024 through an application process. So every year, every 3 years, this one will be given. So if you are a very good in maths, if you want to excel in the field of maths, you might someday be an recipient of this award. Now Professor Jyoti Prakash Medhi was a world-renowned scholar in statistics who received his DSc from the University of Paris in 1956. In 1956 only he went to Paris and he scored something good in maths. You see, he did something good in the field of maths and states. Now finance, regulation and technology. What we have is scores. Now what scores? We don't have the scores from the SEBI. Now launch of the new version of SEBI complaint redress system, which is called as scores. Now this one is a full-blown question for UPSC. UPSC might ask certain things related to scores. By the market regulator SEBI aimed at facilitating online lodging of complaints by investors in the securities market. Now what we have is, just like I was saying, sometimes if your money is lost, okay, if something bad happens to the application or to the platform and you lose a lot of money. So where will you go? And you will have your own regulatory authority. You must have a redressal system, a grievance system, where you can go and you can lodge your complaint. Now this is a course is an online system where investors in the securities market can lodge their complaint through an web URL and an app. Next, the investor complaints will now be resolved within 21 calendar days from the date of receipt. So you need not to worry about your complaint, because now what they are doing is they are trying to redress this complaint within 21 calendar days. Complaints will be automatically routed to the relevant regulated entity to eliminate delays in processing, because we have different sectors on the complaint sector. We don't have just one. Someone might have a problem with the platform guidelines. Someone might have with the problem that their money is been stuck, they are not able to withdraw money. Somebody will have a lot other problems. So everybody will have a different set of problems to counter to. So that is why what happens, there's a backlog which is going on. So they have a lot of problem to deal with. Now what they are doing is they are diversifying these complaint boxes, so that what will happen, everybody's problem will be solved within 21 calendar days. Now what they will do is they will monitor the timely resolution, and plus they will also have an integration with the KYC registration agency database, which will facilitate easy investor registration. That means if you don't have a KYC registered, your complaint might not be well addressed. Just because if you don't have a KYC integration, that means you might be a fraud complainant also. Okay, so these are the certain kind of things which will be looked upon by the scores. Now first version was released in which year? 2010, 11, 12 or 14. Very specific question. But now we come to federalism in the unitary structure. Now we have is Odisha Foundation Day. Now Odisha Foundation Day, the state of Odisha which was created, now they are celebrating the Foundation Day in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. Now this is something is a very prime example of the federalism in India in the unitary structure. Now what is that? Arunachal Pradesh Governor Lieutenant General K.T. Parnayak and the First Lady of the state Anda Parnayak along with the people of Odisha participated in the program. The celebration of statehood days of other state is very important integrating event which opens doors for interaction with the people of Arunachal Pradesh. So here the word is there, integrating. Now what does it mean integrating? Because every state has their different language, different traditions, different people, different problems, different perspective. They have everything and they have different role to play in the federalism of India. But what is good here is that in the unitary way, in the system, what we have, every state is been acting as one state, because what they are doing, they are celebrating the diversification of the state. They are celebrating the diversity in each state, but also they are trying to understand. So this can be a very, very good point for the nation building. So if you have a very good question on the nation building, then what you can do, you can incorporate this answer. Okay, I am giving you this. And this one is also a potential, this might not come directly as a question, but also you can incorporate this in the nation building process. The governor, which recalling the diverse history of Odisha, said that Arunachal Pradesh have many similarities with the state of Odisha and with many different tribes with a unique culture, but at the same time upholding the spirit of unity in diversity. Okay. Now next we come to the 3rd April. What we have in the cinema and the cultural event. Now film Mini. Mini, do you know who is Mini? Mini can be anybody who works in the tea garden. So we ourselves have grown in the tea garden and we always used to refer to these people as Mini, and we also used to have a lot of songs back in those days. Okay, so screening of the film Mini at Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi depicting the plight of tea garden workers. Now what we have is the film is in Assamese and the Sadri language. This is very important point, please note it down. Then Pankaj Mahanta is a producer, Arunjit Bora is a director, and Urmila Mahanta is in the lead role. Next, there is a national award winner. She has composed it and her name is Torali Horma. And I think everybody of us has heard songs of Torali Horma. She is very, very well-known composer and she sings very beautifully, very good voice. Next we have It reflects the sordid saga of the tea workers in Assam, because they have been brought here as indentured laborers by the Britishers, and they have still been under the influence of the tea garden, of this hypocrisy, of this everything that they have. Okay, so now what is happening is that those tea gardens, they have been living the same life from generations to the generations. They are not able to uplift their community as expected right after independence. So this is the plight. And what we see, we somehow sometimes we might not be able to understand their plight, but their social structure is very, very exploitative, because you see there is a lot of violence going on. There are domestic violences which happens in that particular tribe, or the particular of the particular community. There are problems of alcoholism, there are problems of poverty, there are problems of many other social problems they have, apart from the economic problem as well. So we might not be able to understand their plight, because their plight has not been limelighted much in the mainstream media. So they have been deprived of many human rights, like proper education and land rights, among others. So many of them, they don't even have their own land also. So these are the certain kind of things. Now we have a brand name called Turtle. Now Turtle is a menswear. So all the men in the comment section, everybody who is listening to me will understand if you have wore this particular brand. Now why this particular brand is in news? Because of its association of iconic menswear brand with singer Zubin Garg. Now they both are collaborating for the Bihu celebration, and this Turtle Clothing Co has styled menswear since 1993. Okay, I don't know much about fashion, so I won't comment much here. Now we have health and waste management, which is WHO. Now World Health Organization's recognition of e-waste as the fastest growing solid waste stream globally. Now what we have is, we don't have plastic waste. What we have is a e-waste, which is the electronic waste. Now e-waste is the fastest growing solid waste stream in the world. In 2019, an estimated 53.6 million tons of e-waste were produced globally, but only 17.4% was documented as formally collected and recycled, out of which lead is the most common substance which has been released. Lead and mercury, you know that, right? The most common substance which has been released is lead and mercury. Okay, so you see 17.4% is only been retrieved and is being recycled out of this 53.6 million tons of e-waste. So we are way lagging behind in terms of recycling our e-waste. So what we need to do, this is a potential environment question for your mains. So if you want to incorporate this in your answer, you can write down the data. Now ILO and WHO estimate that millions of women and child laborers working in the informal recycling sector around the world may be at risk of e-waste exposure. So there are a lot of organizations who employ women and child laborers to collect the e-waste, but the e-waste has not been properly disposed. We don't have proper disposal mechanism for all the e-waste. We also don't have proper mechanism for the recycling material as well. So what happens is, most of these child laborers, they are being exposed to all these harmful substances like lead and mercury. So that is why WHO and International Labour Organization is worried about the e-waste. Now which of the largest e-waste producing country in the world? It is obviously China, right? Next we have this economy and industry, who is a Honesor Bora and Assam tea. Sonesor Bora. Now why he is in news? Information about tea production in Assam, including historical context and the role of Sonesor Bora in promoting small tea growers. Now he was the ex agriculture minister of Assam. Now what do we have here? Now Assam, it produces almost 55% of India's total tea production. Okay, Assam has 55% of India's tea production. Now by 1978, all restrictions were removed by the governments of India and Assam, and the homestead tea cultivation process starting to spread in Assam. Now if you go to upper Assam, you will see every household has a little tea garden in their own house or in their own land, and they are processing tea. They are growing tea there. They are not able to process them, but they are growing tea there. Okay, why? Because at one point private ownership of tea was banned, but later after the certain by the agriculture minister of Assam, Soneswar Bora, he brought a revolution in the tea industry, and he gave the permission for the homestead tea gardens to grow, and that is how which has increased the revenue of tea in the whole of the state. Okay, he conceptualized the idea of cultivation of tea in homestead gardens by deploying land along with other crops and selling green tea leaves to the existing big factories to supplement family income. So in order to make the agriculture, the cash crop industry, in order to make the cash crop industry more prominently helpful to the people of Assam, to make them more accessible to the growth of tea, he has revolutionized the entire tea garden industry. Next, he intended to utilize the available uncultivated land and attract the young generations to the agriculture sector. He is known as the father of small tea growers in Assam. So this is a very potential question. This might not come in your mains exam, but it is very important for your interview as well. And plus, if there is any question regarding tea industry in Assam, okay, if there is any question regarding tea industry, this is something that you must incorporate in your answer. Okay, so where it is, the first small tea cultivation started in Golaghat district in 1986. Okay. Next, we have a related question. Tea cultivation was first started in Assam in which year? Very easy. Next we go is India's tea industry. Now India's tea industry is in news because India's position in tea production globally, employment statistics and export status. Now this is a cup of tea. By looking at this now, I really want to drink a cup of tea. Tea is the energizing factor for me. Now India is the second largest producer of tea after China and largest consumer of tea in the world. So we produce tea in the second largest country, but we consume tea as a first consuming tea people of the entire world. Everybody of us like tea. In India, I have not seen any particular person who does not like tea, and no one like to mess with tea. Now 15 states across India it has been grown, where Assam, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu and Kerala are the most prominent states. Now in 2022 and 23, India was the fourth largest tea exporter globally. Now this is actually a very sad factor for us, because India should have been the first or the second exporter of tea, but right now what we are standing at the fourth largest tea exports globally. That means whatever tea we are producing, we are not able to market it outside. We are not able to make the enough exports as it was expected out of us. So somewhere the tea gardens, the tea management, they are not able to capitalize the entire tea industry in the whole of India. So many of the people might say that this is a good thing, but I would say actually this is a bad thing, because 4 states in India produce tea, and since there are 15 states but prominently 4 states. So out of this you can say that so much tea is being produced in India, but still we are not able to stand in as the second largest exporter of tea. Okay, next we have this renewable energy. What we have is a solar cell production. Now what is a solar cell? You can see in this picture, one is a solar cell, then one unit of a solar cell. Then there is a solar module. That means you placed several solar cells together and it will create a solar module. And then we have the solar system. That means several solar module, when we place it together, it becomes a solar system. Okay, it is like the multiplication table. 2 into 2 we have 4. Then again 4 into 2 we have 8, like that. Okay, so it is like the multiplication. You multiply one with many, then with many, with others, like that it becomes from solar cell to the solar system. Next we have solar cell and module production capacities. So what are the capacities that has been discussed here? Now Telangana accounts for 39% of annual solar cell production capacity. So it's the most solar cell producing capacity state. Next we come is Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu. Rajasthan is the second place, then Tamil Nadu is at the third place, and Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh were second and third, with solar cell production contributing 34.7% and 13.9% of the total capacities. Okay. Now here, in terms of Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu, we have the solar module production. What I have said is solar cell, then we have the solar module, then we have the solar system. Okay, in terms of solar cell, it is Telangana. In terms of solar module, then we have is Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu, which is producing the solar module. Then we have the solar cell. In terms of solar cell, what we have is Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh. They are the second and the third. So remember, these two are for Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu are for the solar module. Okay, and Telangana, Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh are for solar cell. Now, what are the solar cells used for? Which purpose is it used for? Transportation? Well, we have the electric cars, so definitely. Then we have the electricity generation. Do we? Yes. Then we have the calculators. Yes, of course, we have the e-calculators. So all of the above. Next, we have this Kayakalp Award ceremony. Now, what is this Kayakalp Award ceremony? Recognition received by Kamakhya State Dispensary West Zone Kamrup at the Kayakalp Award ceremony. Now, Kamakhya State Dispensary West Zone retained its first position at the recently declared Kayakalp Award. Now, what we have is on May 15, 2015, as an extension of Swachh Bharat mission, with the objective to improve and promote cleanliness, hygiene, and waste management and infection control practice in public health care facilities. So everywhere we go to the public health care, we see that there are a lot of waste which is being generated from the healthcare, and you'll go and you'll smell a lot of medicine, you'll smell blood, you'll smell everything, and it will make you nauseous. Why? Because there's a lot of chemicals and lot of bacteria, virus, everywhere it is moving around. So we lack lot of cleanliness, we lack lot of hygiene practices, and we also need to establish a proper waste management and waste disposal technique. And that is why Kamakhya State Dispensary West Zone has been maintaining this, and that is why they have received the first position in the Kayakalp. Next we have a Sikkim. Now Sikkim is talking about something called as Article 37(1)(f). Now regarding Article 370, there is already a debate which is all going on in regions of Kashmir and also in the region of the Ladakh. Now Ladakh also wants a statehood. Now in terms of Sikkim, what is happening? It is, even though in terms of election right now, this issue is being taken up again. Now Article 37(1)(f) is a special provision for the state of Sikkim, because to ensure that Sikkim's distinct identity and cultural heritage is being protected. Now Sikkim, there's a lot of tribal people who live there. It's a lot of cultural. It's it is very different from the rest of India, because it has a very unique culture. It has a very rich culture, and Sikkim became a part of India very late. And then this article, it proved that only the descendants of Sikkim subjects, that people who are actually born in Sikkim, whose names were mentioned in the 1961 register, are considered Sikkimese and are entitled to certain benefits such as right to own land and to get state government jobs. So if you are not a Sikkimese descendant, if your grandparents are not born there, you cannot have the right to get any government job, and also you don't have the right to buy any certain kind of land. But the Financial Bill 2023, it redefined the term Sikkimese, and now the benefits have been given to a much broader population. That means this financial bill, what it did, it gave the lot of these rights to also people who are outsiders as in people whose descendants are not born in the state of Sikkim. Okay, so that is why the local population of Sikkim was very sad at this move, because they wanted for their land, they wanted protection of their cultural identity. But this article, somewhere it gave the land rights and the government job rights to also set of people whose descendants were not from Sikkim. Now Sikkim became a part of India in the year 75, definitely. Next we come is the international affairs. We have Eurasian Economic Union. Now why this is a news? Because you'll see the Eurasian Economic Union is a 5-member bloc of Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Russia. So this is more like a bloc, which is a Central Asia bloc, you can say. The Treaty on the Eurasian Economic Union was signed on 2014. It is quite a new union, okay, compared to the rest of the organizations like European Union or SAARC or the rest that you read. Now, the UA encourages the free movement of goods and services like every other union, and provides for common policies in the macroeconomic sphere. In the macroeconomic sphere, that means say they have a policy of the currency, they might have a policy on inflation, they might have a policy on the bigger economic scale, then on the transport, on the industry, on agriculture, energy, foreign trade and investment. So just like any other international organization, their focus ranges from the political stream to economic stream to environmental scheme, and also to the rest of the scheme also as well. Now the provision for single currency is the hope of the future. So European Union have a single currency called euro, but this Eurasian Economic Council, they also want to promote a single currency, but right now it is only a dream of the future. Okay. Next, we have a related question. Who are the founding members of EEU? Russia and Belarus, Russia, Uzbekistan, Belarus, Russia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, or Russia, Belarus and Kazakhstan. Next, we have the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, why this is a news? Because the first female Prime Minister of Congo, President Felix, appointment of the Democratic Republic of Congo's first female Prime Minister. So Congo has got its first female Prime Minister. Now, what news do we have? Now, Congo is in news because Congo shares a border with the Rwanda, with the country of Rwanda, and Rwanda had a very bad history because Rwanda and Burundi used to be the same country, but because of military conflict, because of ethnic conflict, both of these countries got separated. Even though Rwanda is much better than Burundi right now, but still it has a lot of military organization which acts there, lot of militant organizations. Okay, now Congo's east border is related to Rwanda. Now the east border is very mineral rich. It has gold, and gold is very rich mineral which has a lot of demand in the international market. But what is happening is that Congo is facing a lot of issues because of the presence of more than 120 militant groups who want to take control of those gold mines in the east of the Congo, which is bordering the country of Rwanda. So what happens from Congo? They smuggle all those gold and then they take it to Rwanda, and from there they smuggle all these gold to the rest of the country. So this is what Congo is facing right now. But why this prime minister, this female prime minister is very famous right now? Because in her speech, she has mentioned that now, in the past, every person who got elected in the Democratic Republic of Congo has only spoken about the gold mine. But she is the one, apart from speaking from the gold mine, she has also focused on the democratic issues of Congo. She has spoken about problems of poverty. She has spoken about problems of economic investment. She has spoken about the problems of health. She has also spoken about a lot of problems on employment. So all these are the democratic problems which Congo is currently facing. So that is why now people want a change in the government, because people are actually fed up with all these things. Now Congo wants to diversify its income. Apart from gold, it also wants to have a lot of foreign investments in their country. But they cannot have foreign investments until and unless their country is not politically stable. So the country can only be politically stable if there is a stable political government, if militant organizations are quite well controlled. Okay, so that is why there is a ray of hope which is in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now Congo was a colony of which European power? Britain, Belgium, France or Portugal? The correct answer would be Belgium. It was a colony of Belgium. Okay, next we have the 4th of April. Kaliram Medhi, okay, for the editing works on Prahlad Charita composed by him Saraswati. So this is the editorial of the week. I want everybody of you to read this article very carefully. So this was a pioneering work because he applied text review method in editing such as old book for the first time in the Assamese literature. So this is something which was never done in the Assamese literature. This is something which is really done. So if you are preparing for APSC mains, this article is very important for you. Please read all the related information that I have given here. Okay, so this Kaliram Medi had a deep inclination towards Vaishnavism from his childhood and wrote an immense book titled Mahapurukh Hankardev Bani, containing 346 pages, and also regarded as a first quotation dictionary of Hankardev literary works. So whatever Hankardev had actually written, so he had composed a dictionary which will allow you to read every word, which will allow you to understand the meaning of each and every word. Okay, so it's a very difficult compilation that he had done, but it is very commendable. Now Ankavali is another of his significant contributions. This book was published in 1950 and is a compilation of 21 Ankiya Naths composed by Hankardev, Madhavdev, Gopalata, Ramcharan Thakur, Dvija Bhushan and Daittari Thakur. Okay. Next we have is comprehensive scholarly preface containing 111 pages. He was the first Assamese scholar who could analyze and assess the origin, growth and development of Assamese drama. Okhomia Byakaran Aru Bhakhar Tottwa was another extraordinary work by him. It was published in 1936, which contained 439 pages. And Okhomia Bhakhar Mool is another thought-provoking book written by Medhi. So in terms of Assamese culture, in terms of Assamese literature, if there is any specific question, I think this is something you need to mention. Next we have is Brindaboni Bostro. Unveiling of a replica of Brindaboni Bostro of Mahapurukh Srimanto Hankardev, Vishwavidyalaya, Guwahati. Next we have is replica of Brindaboni Bostro prepared with part thread by artist Dr. Ranjit Kumar Barua, was unveiled at the auditorium of Mahapurukh Srimanto Hankardev. Next we have is in the Legal and Government, Guwahati High Court. Why it is in news? Because observation of the 76th establishment day of Guwahati High Court. I don't have much to say on this apart from the related information and the related question, which is Guwahati High Court was established in which year? Very easy question. Next we have the election mascot in Dhupuri, very important. Introduction of the election mascot Pradipta. So this is the name of the election mascot. Its name is Pradipta. This mascot is designed by Sanjeev Basak, which incorporates elements of traditional earthenware sculpture and the Sholapit art form. So you must remember this line. Okay, it is very important. Please note it down. It's a combination of the traditional earthenware sculpture and this Sholapit art form. Next we have the industry and the economy, Indian strategic petroleum reserves. Why this is in news? Because it plans for India's first commercial crude oil strategic storage, including details about the Indian Strategic Petroleum Reserves Limited and its phase 2 project. So here the term what is given is the strategic storage. Now we have a big problem of the strategic storage when it comes to our petroleum reserves. Our technology is also very old because it is all the British ones. So now we have to incorporate new technology so that we can have much more of the strategic storage capacity of the petroleum crude oil. Now India, the world's third biggest oil consumer and importer, plans to build its first commercial crude oil strategic storage as part of efforts to shore up stockpiles as insurance against any supply disruption. So let's say, for example, Russia-Ukraine war has done a big disruption in the oil supply market and the gas supply market. So since India is lucky to have a good relation with Russia, but still what is happening is that even though we are importing oil from Russia at a low cost, but still it will be easier if we are able to, import oil at a very less price than that also. So what happens, let's say if tomorrow there is a global disruption, if say let's say tomorrow there is a third world war, but what we need to understand is that oil is very essential important element in the economy. Without oil your economy cannot run. So what we need is that we need stockpiles as insurance, so that if something happens, what we can do, we can use the stockpiles for the future use also. So this is why we want to have a very strategic storage capacity of the crude oil. Okay, this is a very important aspect of your of the preparation from both UPSC and from both APSC perspective. Now, strategic petroleum reserve will be in an unlimited rock caverns for storage of 5.33 million tons of crude oil at 3 locations, where it will be stored in Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh, and Mangalore and Padur in Karnataka. So these are the prime location: Visakhapatnam, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh. Okay. Next we have is under phase 2, it intends to build a commercial cum strategic petroleum reserve in underground unlimited rock caverns along with associated above ground facilities including dedicated SPM and associated pipelines. So we will have a rock cavern storage also, plus we will also have layers above the ground, which is also going to have a storage facility. So in phase 2, to run the entire economy, we must have a lot of storage capacity. So if tomorrow there is a World War III, we don't have to suffer from the supply disruptions. Now what is Suzuki Motors in news? Information about Suzuki Motor. Now what is the information? India has become the second country after Japan for Suzuki Motor Corporation to cross cumulative production of 3 crore units. So what it has done, it has become the second country after Japan to have this much number of manufacturing of 3 crore units. So this is a very good news in terms of our industry, because India has now going towards, why this is news, because from agriculture sector we want to shift our economy to the manufacturing sector, and then from the manufacturing we want to develop the economy in terms of the service sector. Now even though India is still in the agriculture sector, our manufacturing industry is somewhere taking a grip. So example like this, where we have a cumulative production of at least 3 crore units, that means we are able to produce it locally, and we are also able to export it. Okay, and that is why it speaks a volume about the manufacturing state of India. It speaks about the transition of the economy from the agriculture to the manufacturing sector. Now this is as part of the Make in India plan, and they contribute nearly 40% of the total vehicle exports from India. So nearly Suzuki Motors is taking 40% of the share of the exports from India. So you see, if India is transitioning from an agriculture to a manufacturing state, or to a manufacturing position, that means it is one of the great news from the Indian perspective. Okay. Next we have is PhonePe. Why we have this in news? Because PhonePe has started partnership with the Singapore Tourism Board. So if tomorrow you want to go to Singapore to visit, you don't need to pay in their system. You can use PhonePe to pay in any kind of hotels. You can pay them in any resort you stay. So the entire Singapore Tourism Board has introduced PhonePe, and if tomorrow you want to visit Singapore, you don't have to break your head on all the payment systems there. You can simply use PhonePe, and this is one of the major drive for the financial, what we call that, the digital financial revolution which was brought in India. So if India is able to export its digital market outside India, that means it is one of the major revenue collecting system for India. Now what we are doing is we are trying to sell this financial techs outside of India. So where we are going, we are transitioning from the manufacturing to the service sector, and in the service sector also we are giving our importance on the export of the digital market. So this is one of the greatest news that we have, and this is also one of the most important news that you need to incorporate in case any industry related aspect, if any industry or any digital related aspect of questions, if it is being asked. Okay, next we have is the question, phone pay digital payment app was launched in which year? Very easy. Next we have Indian billionaires. Why they are in news? Because Indian billionaires now, Mukesh Ambani is the 9th richest man in the whole world, and still he is the richest India. And then he's been in the next in line is Gautam Adani, who is number 17 in the world. Then we have the richest person in the world right now is Bernard Arnold. He is the top of the list because he owns a fashion and the cosmetic giant, which I have never heard of in my life. If you have heard of, please comment down below. Next, he's followed by Elon Musk. Then we have Amazon's Jeff Bezos, and then we have Mark Zuckerberg. So these people rotate here and there, but they are only the people who are the money making people. Okay. Next we have the archaeology and the history. Dima Hasao, why it is in news? Because of the exploration of ancient monolithic jar sites in Longkhai, Hamrim, Hading and Kolsi Tila in Dima Hasao. These are monolithic jar sites. Next we have two ancient monolithic jar sites which were explored in Dima Hasao. In these districts, they can be broadly categorized into three primary forms, which are oval, bulbous and barrel shaped. Okay, next we have, on average they stand at approximately 82 centimeters. So they are monolithic jars, they are way back in time. So it explains a lot about our history, about our archaeology, about the history of the origin of the human art and civilization. Next we have this, one distinctive feature of the jar is presence of oval opening with flat surfaces. Okay, so it is oval, it is in the shape of an egg in the upside down, it is in the shape of an egg in the upward, in the opening, and a flat surface on the down. Okay, so these are the distinctive features of this jar. Next we have is J.P. Mills and J.P. Hutton in 1932 from 6 sites in Dima Hasao district are unique to the district and Haipung Reserve of Meghalaya in the northeast region. So these were already discovered in the year 1932. Next we have is the 5th April. NATO collective defense. Why it is in news? Because NATO is marking 75 years of collective defense. In terms of collective defense, but actually I won't call it as a collective defense, I would call it more as a collective offense, but my terminology is not internationally acceptable, but this is what I feel, because lately they are taking more an offensive term rather than on a defensive stand. So east, west, north, south, this is what their motto is. It is an intergovernmental military alliance of 32 states, and its headquarters is located in Brussels. I think all of you know about NATO. Next we have is an editorial of the week. Now what is this? Editorial is very important, which is plasma propulsion technology. Now what is this plasma propulsion? It is an advanced space propulsion technology that employs ionized gas or plasma to generate thrust for spacecraft. So earlier spacecraft used to use a large amount of fuel and the fuel burning, but now what they are going to use? They are going to use ionized gas or plasma in terms of thrust generating, because our rockets have to fly at a very high altitude and they have to defy gravity and fly. Okay, so it needs a lot of energy. So what they are doing is they are creating a space propulsion technology which will employ ionized gas or plasma. Now they will use electric system or magnetic fields to accelerate charged particles. So they will either use the electric or the magnetic field, which will accelerate the charged particle and which will ultimately generate thrust, so that the space rocket, it flies at the desired distance. Okay, because we have to generate a lot of thrust so that it defies gravity and it goes out of the out of the gravity. Now, the concept was first explored in the mid-20s, but the experimental actually began in the late 1960s. Now, one of the earliest plasma propulsion was the ion electric propulsion system developed by Harold R. Kaufman at NASA's Glenn Research Center. Okay. Next we have is a tourism. Why tourism minister is famous now? Because now we have statement regarding Assam's history and tourism. So first tourism minister of Assam was Devkan Borua, and now we have joined the Malla Borua. Both of them are Borua. So like I said, every Borua I have met in my life are rich and privileged, except me. I was born poor. I don't know why. Now, medicine and healthcare, we have is CAR T cell therapy. Now, what is CAR T cell therapy? Now, this is an indigenously developed CAR T cell therapy for cancer treatment. So, what it does is, this is very interesting if you just read it out. Now, you see giving patients like a living drug. What it used to do, let's say for example, tomorrow, let's say you have caught a disease. Okay, so what the doctor will give you, a medicine, and that medicine will trigger your immune system, and ultimately your immune system is going to fight against that disease. But in terms of this T cell, the T cell actually it replicates the immune system and it attacks the cancer cell. It will not trigger the immune system to fight. It will replicate the immune system and it will directly go and attack the cancer cell. So it is like directly kill cells which are infected by the pathogen. So it is not going to trigger the immune. It is rather going to replicate itself as the immune system, and then it is going to directly go and check which of the following cell is a cancer cell, and then it is directly going to attack those cancer cell, and that is why it is called as a CAR T cell. Now it has been indigenously developed in India. It is collecting T cell from the patient and re-engineering them in the laboratory to produce proteins on their surface. So T cell is actually present in every human body, but it is taken from a healthy person and then it is been re-engineered so that when it enters into the body of a cancer patient, it replicates itself in the form of the immune and then goes and fight the cancer cells. Okay. Now, President Draupadi Murmu has launched on 4th April India's first indigenously developed CAR T cell, and it is developed by IIT Bombay and Tata Memorial Center, the gene-based therapy. So this was the news that we had from the 30th March to the 5th of April. I hope you liked today's session. If you have any questions, please do comment down in the sections below in the comment section, and we will again meet in the next week on Sunday 7 a.m. So stay tuned. Until then, take care and all the best.